Scene of the airliner crash in which 69 people were killed. Although demolishing a garage and some warehouses, the aircraft missed rows of private houses, otherwise many more people might have been killed. On the scene as quickly as possible were investigators of the Board of Trade. The black box with the automatic record of the flight was discovered. To the nearby infirmary, rescuers rushed the survivors. The Argonaut was bringing package deal holidaymakers home from Mallorca and was only 4 miles away from its destination, Ringway Airport, Manchester.
Where were you when the Stockport air disaster happened?
When it happened, I was at home. I was gardening. It was a nice morning and things were going like any Sunday morning would. My neighbour leant over the fence and said to me, "Brian, are you aware there's been a plane crash in the centre of Stockport?" Well, obviously I wasn't aware. How could you be? But as the day progressed, more and more news filtered through. The main one being that the A6 was heavily congested by people who wished to go down and have a look at what had happened for themselves. The police closed the A6, Hillgate, Hawkes Car, all the adjacent roads in order to give access for the ambulances and fire engines and any other rescue vehicles. That apparently went quite well, but there was, at that dreadful occasion there were 72 people killed, 12 survived. The thing that really struck me when I went down, which was the following Thursday, I waited sort of 5 days, was the awful smell at the site of a mixture of burning wood, rubber and oil. It was dreadful, and there were little columns of smoke rising from the ground. The bulk of the aircraft had been removed, but there were little corners of burning rubbish. And it really hit me hard to see that. After all, there were 72 people killed.
Do you know any more about how the plane crashed?
That's where you... how it crashed, I'm told by a friend who's very knowledgeable in avionics that it was a pilot error. Now, it's a rash statement to make, probably the pilot's dead now, but it was said by this friend of mine who knows, believe you me, a lot about aircraft, said there'd been an error in the cockpit by the pilot closing down 2 good engines. 2 had already failed, and at that point the plane, which was only 6 miles out of Manchester Airport, fell to the ground, broke into 2 or 3 pieces, and that was the end of the plane and the unfortunate death of so many people.
It's originally thought that the crash was due to a pilot error, but on discovery of the plane's black box, it's discovered that one of the fuel stopper caps for one of the fuel tanks was a few degrees off the stopped point. This meant that fuel leaked from that fuel tank, and when it came time to switch over to those fuel tanks, the tank was empty. The way of thinking of this is if you get a bottle of water and slightly unscrew the cap and then hold it upside down, water is going to drip out bit by bit, and over a long amount of time the water will run out and eventually there won't be any left.
Even though it was a disaster, you all still have to remember the brave people who risked their lives to help save the 12 remaining passengers.